I didn't. I should not have opened up the Blackmagic website. There's a lot of new
For
stuff
you,
here.
that sounds like a bad idea.
It's not the safest thing in the world.
This is kind of like John going to a used audio equipment website.
They have a new cloud backup.
Cool.
8 bays with 4 10 gig Ethernet ports.
Dang.
That's a lot of throughput right there.
Yeah.
A new hyperdeck that has its own screen. That's
Still
fun.
need to update my DaVinci to 20.2. I missed 20.1. I needed to get it done, and it was like, you want to upgrade? No, just need to get this done. I'll do it later.
They do have a new handheld. This looks fun.
I actually want to try just tinker at some point with because 20.1 I believe is what introduced their AI helper. I don't know if it's on the free version. I'll have to check. But I don't know.
I would be surprised if they didn't at least have some kind of free version.
Yeah, like a light version of it. Yeah, I want to try it like on, I don't know, do something with one of our because I haven't read that far into it, but presumably with it being resolved, it should be able to help, I'm guessing, like clean up audio if there's noise or something, like, help you with settings.
Yeah.
And or the editor side with the graphics, like maybe do things with graphics or make adjustments to color or make, it's an AI helper for Resolve. I would think that it would help with everything Resolve can do. So I'm interested to like play with it at some point and see if it's useful or if it's just a
waste of time,
like a way, or like just a helper. Like, here's a suggestion for what you want to do. It's like, no, do it. You're an AI. You're supposed to do it for me.
Honestly, I find myself disabling the suggestions in most of what I use.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're either okay or they're bad.
Yeah.
Well, I've never had a suggestion that just like blew my socks off.
They're either super duper bland, like it's for a noob like using the software for the first time, so it's just the absolute basics.
Yeah.
Or it's just kind of, you look, it's like, why do I need that? Why are you suggesting this? I did that on Photoshop when I first started using it, because it's like, I don't know how to use Photoshop, but if there's something I want to do in Photoshop, I'm just going to Google how to do it.
Yeah.
And then just, I'm going to go by that.
It looks like the AI is part of the paid one.
It is, okay.
But the paid one's also only $295, so it's like...
I know. I still haven't bought it. I was going to buy it originally and then never got around to it.
Only.
Oh, to be fair, for a lifetime license, I mean, it's just a one-time deal, and then you have
small commitment.
But that's for perpetual update?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a one-time.
Nice.
You own the software.
This is kind of like the Affinity Suite, where it's like buy once, try once.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, it's the same with Reaper as well, isn't it?
You get three versions of it.
There's 3?
So
three updates.
Yeah.
3 major.
Yeah, 3 feature updates, and then you have to buy the licensing.
Oh.
That's still fair. That's not bad.
How many feature updates do
they feature? I mean, how often do they
Since
do
I bought it, like...
Is it like 1 a year?
No.
Okay.
I think we've only gone through 1 feature update, but like it's every 2-ish years.
Okay.
I know I've updated.
You get a massive one.
I know I've got an update for Reaper too. I haven't done that one yet, but I know like I've updated it probably 3 or 4 times this year, but I haven't paid attention to the version numbers. I don't know if any of those were feature or if they were just incrementals. I'm sure most of them are incrementals.
I saw a post on X the other day. It was arguing about don't update your dependencies. Just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And honestly, in some cases, I can see why people do that, because sometimes some projects have a lot of churn, and it's just
I mean, it's one of those it's like anything, just use discretion.
Yeah, give me it would be nice if some things you could check a box that's like, give me like the second or third update after a major update, so that way let them figure out the issues.
Because if you're using something like I think Reaper would be a good example, because it is still a traditional totally offline software.
Yeah.
You don't have a cloud account, you don't have cloud syncing anything. It's just a audio.
That's 99% of the software that I use.
Yeah. So I mean, for that, okay, if you're disconnected from the interwebs, fine. But even DaVinci, if you're in their ecosystem and you have an account and you're syncing to doing cloud back, it says no, you kind of need to go with the updates because security updates in there, and it's part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, when you agree to those terms and services, you're signing up for the ride, and it's not fun.
Yep.
Speaking of signing up for the ride,
Welcome to the Hustling Morning Show. I'm your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan.
Steven.
Matthew.
Matthew. I have a question for you.
Hmm.
What would you do if for some reason something in your home lab just isn't working anymore? Would you go ahead and just say, screw it, I'm just going to go to a commercial solution, just pay the money? Or would you fight with it for a few hours till you rip your hair out, spend way too much money on eBay, and then decide, I'm just going to use a different project?
No, see, I would probably spend too much money on eBay or get lost in the mail, and then I'd just pack everything up.
Option C sounds pretty
That's
good,
a good
honestly.
option. Yeah, I like that.
Are you also the same kind of guy that you keep a gun right next to the printer in case it makes a different noise than it usually
Honestly,
does?
I should, but most of the time it's just unplugged. So, like,
Oh,
if it starts making noise, I don't think a gun's going to solve it, you know?
see, mine never is like unplugged. It just turns itself off and refuses to turn back on.
You
So
put it in a deep
I'm sold.
freeze and you only allow it to wake up when you need it. I like that.
Yep.
Do you call it Bucky?
I mean, I could. I should get, like, the book of the code words and everything next to it.
God, you gotta get a little red book.
Nathan,
Yes.
what are we talking about?
We are talking about open source. What we think of is the current state of open source. Good, bad, ugly. I.e., this was a great opportunity for me to do very little work and just let you and Matthew rant.
Those are always the best episodes anyways.
Of course. So, we have a couple of different ways we can go about this. Let's start here, and we'll see how quickly we go off the rails. Is there any, and let's just say one per person, if any. Is there any open source software you use daily or frequently?
I'll go first because I'm going to have the least to contribute to most of this. Actually, yes, I would say frequently. I use, I guess daily technically because I use open source firewall software in my home network, pfSense. It's pretty great. Still like it. I know there's other options out there that people are touting as good or better. But I mean, it's been solid for me, and I have no complaints with it. Also use TrueNAS for storing personal files and media files, and then similar to John, use Jellyfin to access media files and watch movies and TV shows and stuff that I own. And that's mostly it for me. That's the open source extent of my open sourceness. Oh well, and technically, I do my VM that I use exclusively to access ChatGPT through a real convoluted and probably paranoid methodology is it's an Ubuntu VM. So I mean, I use a little bit of Linux, just a little bit.
We'll get you fully on board one day. I think we could.
I think you could maybe reasonably get me. Ooh, this is gonna be a hard prediction. I think one day, we're talking about one day, maybe
Because like
maybe 75%.
Because if we're talking
I think
about
that's
like,
a reasonable if me progressing to the point of using more Linux than Windows, I could probably get to 70%. 75%. Don't think I could ever get past that.
because the biggest hurdles for you would be like what, DaVinci, and then
Not really. I mean, it's really. I mean, I like Windows. I hate to tell you, but I like it.
you're a masochist, or you don't use it.
I don't
enough
have
to,
nearly the problems with it that you people do.
You don't use it enough.
I literally use it every day.
No. You don't use it enough. Yeah,
I
frequency.
don't mess with stuff.
Frequency is
That's
one thing.
no. I don't tinker and mess with stuff. That's
I don't mess in quotation marks. Mess with stuff. I'm not in there like editing the registry and doing all sorts of nonsense like that and setting up automated scripts and stuff. I'm just installing basic tools and using those tools, and I still have a terrible experience. Like Teams crashed my laptop.
Well, okay,
that's
all
a
right,
different-
all right.
that's different.
I
That's
think
horrible.
3 times in
I
1 week
can't-
was at its worst, so I just started using the web app,
I have
and then
no
I
defense
have
for
had no
Teams.
issues.
I have no
Teams desktop is awful.
I have no defense for Teams. I'm sorry.
I used to be a defender of Teams.
Yeah, I
and
know,
then
because it used to be good,
and then, like,
they ruined it.
the new Teams came out,
Yes.
and now it's just like
it's
trash.
terrible.
Awful.
So John,
what better open source stuff is there?
Not Teams.
So John, how about you?
Oh, we're gonna be here a while.
just hit the bullet points.
Okay.
Tell the audience about Caliber.
Oh, I love Caliber.
Yeah,
Caliber. Don't worry about it. Calibre, wherever you want to call it. No, so I've been going down an open source journey of self-hosting, and what started all mine was I was awakened when Voodoo one day removed a movie from my library that I paid money for, and I said, screw that. And well, now we're here. So I run I'm not gonna say super complex like web of open source products, but bullet points. Multiple Proxmox hosts, 3 or 4 TrueNAS servers, 2 separate Docker hosts, 2 separate Kubernetes hosts, a VPS that is running Ubuntu. I have upteen many installs of Ubuntu between multiple desktops, laptops, and mini PCs around. I also run an open source firewall solution that uses pfSense. I have used OpenSense in the past. I have also used OpenWRT recently in some testing. I use Plane for my project management. I've
Don't forget your pie holes.
well, you have to have Pi-hole, and I have 3 of those servers. So
And
mine.
don't you use oh god, I just forgot it. Don't you use that visualization software as well?
That's Plane. That's for my project management.
No, the network management software.
No, not anymore.
You don't use it? Okay.
Are you talking about Grafana?
Yes, Grafana.
Yeah, I use Grafana for
That's what I
all,
meant,
all
yeah.
my metrics. Yeah,
Gotta have the metrics.
and there used to be many more. I kind of consolidated down when I rebuilt the home lab to just kind of the core of what I actually would use every day, and that ebbs and flows depending on.
And what was the reason that you rebuilt the home lab?
Oh, because I wanted to get rid of
What
One
was the
U-
thing that prompted it?
all the 1U servers I owned and the noise and the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what was the actual big massive thing that?
Oh no, that came after.
Oh, that came after.
That came
I thought
after I
you
rebuilt
started
the
really
lab.
consolidating stuff after we
No.
put that thing in there.
No, so the 42U rack, that was me wanting to just rack mount the world. I was because I was
That was a great deal,
I was
I'm
in
not
a
gonna lie.
I've been in a 15U StarTech rack for a while, which has been great. I immediately filled that up with 4U cases, which didn't take long at all.
These are definitely not open source racks. They're definitely name
One
brand.
of them is technically an open rack because it doesn't have any sides on it.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
No, but it's like open source software. It really is kind of like, for me, I took a lot of the commercial solutions that I've used in the past and just found open source alternatives and compared the two and said what's going to work best for the path on how I want to build my infrastructure. And the open source one made the most sense because cost was a factor, but it wasn't the main factor. It was more of what's going to challenge me more and what can help grow my career further, because that was the point of having a home lab in the first place. Was I was bored with the solutions I had in front of me from work. I didn't want to try and learn something new in a work environment because we all know how catastrophically horrendous that can go. So I needed a safe place to do it. And well, I could either go through and buy all the licenses and the hardware to reconstruct what I know, or I could go through and start a new challenge and see a different way of how IT can be ran. And honestly, it's become such a important part of not only just my career, but how I have adapted my skill set. I've learned so much more doing it this way than I think I could have done from any other commercial solution.
For free.
The software was for free. We don't talk about anything else supporting the
No,
software.
no,
That
we
definitely
don't.
was not. That was not
Hardware costs are just
thousands of dollars.
consequential. Fine.
I do want to back up just a minute. Like,
Yep.
if you know what Voodoo is, you're pretty old. If you still own something that was on Voodoo,
Mhm.
you probably wake up with back pain every morning.
Yeah, but no, that was just the whole thing of like, I used to be fully cloud, all digital, everything out of convenience because, look, I mean, my infrastructure is more complex, more expensive than it absolutely needs to be, but the bare minimum was still like, for the amount of movies I owned, the amount of additional storage I needed for my personal files, and like the infrastructure I needed to run, it was still like a few $1,000s. So going through all of that, like if someone's interested in going open source, like yeah, there's always going to be a cost somewhere. You may be saving that cost on the software, but what are you going to be paying in your time and in the hardware to run the other solutions?
Let's be honest here. Hypothetically,
Mhm.
if you cleared out all of your hard drives right now, could you or could you not be a small cloud host?
Oh no, I could be I for small business here, I could be a pretty massive player. I mean, there's for
You don't
what-
have a petabyte yet.
I've priced out how much it would be, but I have a lot.
Do you have the drive slot space for
No.
a petabyte right now?
No, I actually would have to. I'd have to get a couple new cases to be able to support that. As of right now, I think under current drive restrictions, I could have around.
Half one.
No, I can have more. I think it was like 600 or 700 terabytes is what I could have in raw
Oh my.
storage.
But before he becomes a player in that field, he needs proper UPS.
I have proper UPS. I do.
Oh, that's right. You
He
did
just
get-
doesn't have the plug for
That is correct.
it. He has two actually.
Yes, two really nice proper UPS.
Yeah. You just literally can't use them.
I have other UPS, and
Uh-huh.
those are still good UPS in there.
Do those actually have do those UPS have 240 out or are they just 120 out?
On the rack mount ones,
Yeah.
they have 240 out.
They
as
have
well.
240 out?
Yeah.
Cool. Just go plug it into your dryer plug and then have your dryer come out of it and just and then you can plug everything into it.
This
It's
is not
fine, right?
This is not a
I already
recommendation.
have to unplug the dryer to charge them to keep the batteries nice, but no.
Editor to audience, do not do that.
Yeah, please don't do that.
If it's got it, use it.
No,
Yeah.
what he needs is first is a proper electrician to do proper
Yeah,
electrician
Push that off
things.
YouTube.
The problem is that I have is like, yeah, the cost, but it's more of that room is already going to confuse so many people when I sell this house. The
That's
amount
true.
of networking that's already in there and what I'm already having to expand to accommodate
When I put
my other effort
when
that
I
I did.
when I finally put the air vent in the ceiling of my closet,
Yeah.
same.
No, because like I would need two 240 outlets. No, I need two 220 outlets in there, dedicated circuits for each.
Mhm.
They're going to be like, what was this man doing? Nothing illegal, funny enough.
Sure.
But no, it's like open source. There's a lot of solutions that I run, but for the most part, if I had to boil it down to the simplest, it's like, look, Proxmox, TrueNAS, pfSense, and Pi-hole are kind of the main go-to staples that I use every day. Beyond that, it kind of depends on what I'm trying to get done.
How about-
Matthew,
What don't I use?
I know that.
That's the
feeling.
question.
Again, bullet points.
Yeah, so I had to organize this. Like when we're talking about what do I use, I think the biggest thing that I use on a daily basis, Visual Studio Code, if that counts.
I'd count it.
It
Yeah.
kind of does, kind of doesn't, depending on who you ask. Emacs.
Notepad plus, obviously.
I never really got into Notepad plus plus. Because if I'm gonna use just a basic text editor, I'm gonna open up Vim.
True.
Or just plain Vim if that's what
You
on.
called
If
me
you-
a masochist.
If you can exit Vim.
It's really not that hard.
I know it's not.
Really not that. And these days you can just use your coding agent to help
Yep.
you out. That's fine. So yeah, like typically text-based tools like that. Debian, I will shout it out all day, every day. Debian 13 just released. It had a lot of great package updates with it. It's been rock solid. Haven't had any issues. I updated 3 different machines. Upgraded from
Mhm.
12 to 13. The only one that I had issues with that I had to go in and like tweak a few things on my desktop,
Yeah.
which has an NVIDIA graphics card. So that just,
Complicates so many things.
throws everything for a loop.
Yeah, we're not going to get into NVIDIA's open source drivers on Linux right now. It is
Yeah.
a mess.
So it's not too bad, but I was able to upgrading Debian. That's the first time I've ever actually like successfully upgraded a from one version of Debian to the other. Because I started with Debian 7, I think, and for the longest time I never really stuck with it long enough for it to warrant an upgrade. Right,
Yep.
like I would wipe it, replace it with something else. Distro hop all over the place. But this time I was like, you know what? I haven't finished all of my Ansible scripts. I haven't finished, the different things like we were talking about on the backups episode, the different things to make it easier to spin up a new machine. So I'm going to go ahead and try to upgrade and, go that way. And honestly, it was really smooth. Because I have just a Lenovo ThinkCenter in the living room under the TV. That one was pretty easy because that's all AMD. That's a Ryzen APU in there. My laptop here, this is Ryzen APU as well. And then my desktop is like the NVIDIA graphics card is the only thing that threw it for loop. So I had to reinstall the NVIDIA drivers and then make a few tweaks to a few packages that were borked. But other than that, it was great. So I would say the current state of Debian, that's at open source. Fantastic. That's definitely, I think, my favorite piece of open source right now because that makes it possible for me to not use Windows. So I appreciate that. And then the Steam Deck, like Steam OS and everything, if you count that. Like Steam is a proprietary software, but the Steam OS is built on top of Arch, so I would count that as Linux, and it makes gaming great. How many more things do you want me to list, Nathan? I've got text editors, operating systems, gaming.
Let's do like something you would use for like work or something.
Besides VS.
Besides VS Code, I mean Emacs, but I've already mentioned that. Let me think.
Or like a text editors or something, or text editors or something like that, or gaming.
Nah, just throw out Docker.
Docker is the one thing that I haven't played around a ton with. Because I get to play around with it at home, but
you don't use it at work.
We don't use it at work because we don't have a reason to.
Yeah,
like the way that our tech stack is .NET, like Blazor and ASP.NET Core applications deployed to IIS. Yeah. So we could introduce containers, and there's been a few use cases where
there would be if you're doing a large like again. So this is in the context of like the cloud, obviously. So if you're looking at building up the cloud, you obviously you have to have the argument between Docker and the Kubernetes because fundamentally they're similar but not the same, and it depends on your scaling and how you want to build it out. Kubernetes actually does a little bit better for the large scale, which is why it's still considered the new hotness, but it isn't as widely adopted as Docker is because Docker is very, in comparison, it's very simple, very easy to spin up. Kubernetes is also on that similar route, but it's like the fundamental change of like you going to containerization. You have to understand, like, for you and your code and what you're building it for and how it's going to be deployed and how it's going to be maintained. You have to make sure, hey, is this actually going to work inside the container? 9 times out of 10, it usually does.
All of our stuff would work in a container, but the hardest part is getting everything connected to.
Yes, that was the next. Your
ADFS. So
yes. Well, that's actually not as bad.
Active Directory.
That's actually not as bad as is what's passing through like your networking and your storage and all your additional dependencies. That way is a little bit harder because you not only have to pass that first to the container or to the container host, then you have to pass it to the container itself. So that's where you're adding an additional layer of complexity to the supply chain. But for the most part, if you're looking to save on resources, it makes a lot of sense. A little bit different of a learning curve when you're doing the deployment side of it. But for the most part, as long as you use that similar mindset of if this was a VM, how would I want to maintain it, connect to it, get into ADFS, all that fun stuff is still applicable to Docker and Kubernetes. It's just the deployment methods and how you do it
Yeah,
changing.
honestly, the deployment side of things, like once we, put in the legwork
Yeah.
to set everything up, that would be a breeze.
Yeah.
That'd be so easy to just, spin up a container and everything. That'd be fine.
Oh yeah, it's a very
Um,
simple command line, especially if you use Docker Compose. Like Docker
Oh, yeah.
Compose is
And the
wicked
.NET
easy.
tooling for containerization is
Yep.
great. I've gotten to play around with it locally. It's awesome. But we don't really like. This is one of those things where could we get some benefits and have some changes to our developer workflow that would be great. Yes, but the time investment it would be to swap everything over, to not break everything, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's like if you're not resource constrained right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now,
Yeah.
if your IT team was looking to do a full infrastructure upgrade, that's where that conversation comes back into place. Is
Yeah.
if you're fundamentally going to be, say, like, hey, all your current server stack right now that's hosting your entire environment, it's coming up for renewal. We need to replace it. What should we be considering? And like, all right, so cost wise, especially working under the constraints of a school budget,
Mhm.
you have to have a mindset of, if we're going to containerize it, well, you still have to have some level of redundancy. So you're still going to be multi-host.
Yeah.
My recommendation for a lot of them is like, look, I know they're a little bit more expensive, but for the quicker, easier redundancy, I'm a huge fan of blade servers running multi-nodes. In there, because then cool, what you have is in a 2, 3, 4, sometimes even larger rack case itself, you can have, between like 3 and sometimes up to 12 nodes
Mhm.
already right in there. There's your expansion. You need more than that, you buy another host, you stick as many nodes in it as you want, and you can keep going. And so you save room in the rack. They usually are a little more power efficient, they're quieter, less heat output.
Yeah.
And for you guys on that side, the core infrastructure is going to be the same. You're not having to update your net code for this new virtual host because it's all based off the same x86 platform that you're used to. So all that would be relatively simple. But for the actual IT staff management side, it's technically less complexity than what they have to do now, because instead of having to plug multiple servers in and getting them into either a cluster or just running each as their own bare metal host, and then on the network side, getting everything communicating with itself, it's just one physical box with multiple smaller physical boxes inside of it that you pull out, configure all the same, plug it all together. Networking is very, very easy. It all spins up very fast, and like there you go. In my opinion, it's the easiest set it and forget it type of like multi failover solution that you can realistically have. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of an all in one solution in a box.
Yep.
And then just install Proxmox and have a good day. Or XCP&G, or if you are still a masochist, I'm still just not a fan of VMware, like especially everything that they've done. But
I don't even think we would want to get into that.
we're not. But like,
Yeah,
hey,
for the most part, if we were to swap to containers, I think that we could save a lot of money.
I mean,
'Cause,
yeah,
like, right now
it's
we
less
are
overhead.
Microsoft top to bottom, so like Windows Server, SQL Server,
Yeah, I
all
mean,
that stuff.
Microsoft's a native Docker supporter. Like they
Yeah.
invested heavily into
Well,
it.
what I'm saying is that if we move to deploying on Docker, like Docker, and using open source alternatives, so like using a Linux server instead of using like Postgres instead of SQL Server, we could save a lot of money there. But again, it's the moving everything.
It's a complete fundamental change.
Yeah, the
It
amount
is
of change
massive.
it would be.
Well, it's like because
not
you
worth it
you can do Docker
right
on
now.
on Hyper-V. You can
Yeah.
do it. I have not personally tried it, so I don't know how good it actually is. As far as I'm aware, it's fine.
Mhm.
But if they wanted to stay on the Microsoft stack, you definitely could. Now licensing wise, I have no idea what that looks like
Mhm.
for the commercial end, because I've only played in it in the personal side, and what I have done in like the cloud, which is Microsoft Cloud and AWS. I've deployed Docker on both of those ends. You're just going basically through a drop down, selecting what you want, and then it auto deploys itself, and then cool, it's done. So I don't know the back end how they're actually doing the spin up for it. Um, but like again, if it's something that Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and many other players have quickly adopted and standardized on, there's no reason why multiple other businesses couldn't do it. It's now going to kind of go into, well, you have to go into the metrics of, why would I want to move to an open source solution in the first place? Well, there's multiple reasons why. The biggest one that we have actually seen is cost. Cost is always like, again, when you're going to open source, you're usually not having to pay a licensing fee to it. There are some projects that you do, like Red Hat used to be fully open source and all that. You can get support packages directly to them.
Yeah.
But now they've actually pulled a lot of that back, and it is paywall that you, if you
They're
want to use
definitely
it,
not one of the good guys in my opinion
not anymore.
currently.
Um,
Podman is a great product. Other than that,
Yeah.
I'm not a very heavy Red Hat.
no, and so like you have cost, you have the obviously the maintenance side to it, but additionally, let me see. In here I did have a little list.
Like
One
the biggest
second.
question is, do you want to pay in dollars or time?
Well,
Like that's
because again,
that's the
if you're moving to an open source platform, like again, think of an engineer who spent their entire career working on a Windows platform. It is very daunting for them to then go and look at a Linux terminal versus a Windows terminal.
Mhm.
Fundamentally, they are not the same.
yeah. PowerShell and Bash are very, very different.
Completely different. So you're talking like,
Even like Command Bash
Yep.
are very, very different.
file system's completely different. All fundamentally how you are going to be managing this is going to be different.
Yeah, PowerShell is at least the more recent versions is somewhat positive client.
Pretty close.
Command is like like
We
dir
don't-
versus CD. You know, like it's
Yeah.
the commands are just wild.
But it's just kind of coming through and thinking about it from the business perspective side is like, look, we have seen a large changeover of where multiple businesses now. I think it's like some of the metrics I was reading earlier today was like the adoption rate for open source is like up like 53%. And this
Well,
is
like Linux on the desktop, not Linux server, right? Linux running on the desktop hit 5% market share in June and July. It's petered out a little bit, so it's back down to like 4.5%.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal because like 2 years ago, I think we were sitting at like 3%. So as far as like growth goes, massive growth. And that's been really fun to see for sure. Now, granted, we're getting a lot more normies. But
that's okay because
Yeah.
you had to be able to expand market share. You have to have new members constantly join.
Mhm.
That's not something where it's like it's hard to grow it from inside itself. You can't just take, I'll say, a family of Linux users and then go and take those people and dominate the rest of the market. You have to have outside people coming in, embracing the project, investing their time, their money, their energy into this, and actually saying, hey, we actually not only can move to this, we will move to it. It actually is a positive change for us because look at all the BS we had to deal with. Like, let's just use the quick example of going back to VMware. Look at all of the crap you were having to deal with because VMware got bought out by Broadcom.
Mhm.
All of that stuff, all of that headache that you now have to take on just because of an acquisition. In open source, that is not as common.
Mhm.
These long-term projects, minus Red Hat, usually from how they started to where they are now, the fundamentals are typically the same.
Yeah.
The purpose is the same. So, like, if you want to look at an alternative like XCP and Genes and Orchestra, if you want to go to Proxmox, if you want to go to many of the other hypervisors out there, there's a ton of options that you can now go and consider. And realistically, the likelihood of you being screwed over is very low. Now, you still have to go through figuring out how to adopt it, how to pay for it, get your support, get it implemented, do your massive changeover. It's still a huge ordeal.
Mhm.
But once you're on that platform, it's like that nice promise that VMware first gave you of like, look, you're gonna have your ecosystem, everything's just gonna talk with each other, it's all just kind of gonna work with each other, and it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be that little IT paradise. Open source, you're going to have some more headaches with it, but you can build something very similar at a fraction of the cost.
Mhm. And in most cases, if you have some intelligent developers on your team, they can augment it as well.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest benefit is not so much the free as in cost side of things, but the free as in you can touch and interact and change the code.
And yeah, it's like if you're thinking about it now, it's like how has open source like affected our lives? Like legitimately, it's been the invisible backbone. Like, look, when you go through the drive-through and you're seeing that digital menu display, that's usually on Linux backend. If you're going through to multiple different websites these days, it's all run on Linux.
Mhm.
Like the vast majority of what you interact with a lot of the
Linux in
time
one
every
form
day,
or
yeah.
another.
But it's usually an open source software that is the backbone for all of this. It's a huge pipeline uh that has been like heavily adopted at, I'm gonna say, in the last 10 years of where I've noticed it, but probably way before then
Oh yeah,
too.
and like with on the back end side of things for sure. On the desktop side of things, with how much Microsoft has shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Over just the last like 2 or 3 years, and then Apple constantly shooting themselves in the foot. Or on the developer side of that alone has driven up the Linux market share
Well,
a lot.
and we're missing the biggest one right now. This whole AI rush
Mm-hmm.
is all originally built on open source solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's still mostly being run on open source solutions.
Mhm.
Like this entire huge boom that's everyone's saying is like the biggest thing since the Matrix, essentially. Like you now have a conceptual idea of where a business now has a much more powerful tool set that they can just start using right now at a very reasonable fee to sometimes like, look, it's just the cost of the hardware for you to go and self-host one of these solutions is a massive thing. And it's only going to continue to get bigger.
Fingers crossed. Knock on wood, but yes.
Well, I mean, again, let's look at something even more mainstream than even AI. Let's go back to the gaming topic here.
Mhm.
Like, go look at what Valve did with the Steam Deck, and before the Steam Deck, like
Not just the Steam Deck, but more importantly, Proton.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like,
Yeah.
but before that, like, look at the adoption rate of being a Linux gamer. Back then, like, let's 7-8 years ago, it essentially was not possible really to be a mainstream gamer and play on Linux. The games you had was very narrow. They didn't always run right. You didn't have really good driver support. There was a lot of hoops you have to go through. Now, it's not perfect now by any means,
Mm-mm.
but
But it is so much better.
it is an actual viable alternative if you wanted to play
Yeah.
your games in an environment that you can control. You can do that now.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the new like Steam box. You know.
Yeah.
There's been rumors for like ever since the Steam Deck came out that they're gonna do that, and so far I think recently there was a patent that was talking about it, and then the leaks for the Steam controller too.
Yeah. Which I know the name is now poisonous. I get it completely, but I would love if they go back to the old branding and just call them Steam machines.
Hmm.
I would adore that so much. I know they probably can't because for the marketability side,
call it a
that-
Steam engine.
I mean,
That wouldn't be bad.
I would be totally cool with that.
That'd be kind of cool.
I'm down for that.
I'm gonna put the Steam engine like that would be. I
Yeah.
would buy that as a console. That was the thing.
I agree because again, like
Because the Steam Deck experience has been so good. I have never had to reinstall the operating system. I've forgotten what I even did to set it up. Like it's that good because there's a handful of tweaks and things that I had installed, like day one, because I had been like watching YouTube videos.
yeah, you
crawling
were
through
a
Reddit.
very early
I was
adopter. Like, I
ready
haven't
to
even
go.
adopted it yet, and that's saying something.
Because I had adopted it beginning of year 2. So this would have been 23. I think I've had it for like 2 years now. 23, 24, 25. Yeah, about 3 years now. And man, like it is rock solid. It's great. And it's so nice to be able to just click a button, sit down, play a game. If I want to tinker with it, I can. So like I installed EmuDeck so I can play some legally obtained GameCube games. Like I have the disc. And then I think that was kind of all I did. But like having a portable GameCube, that was wild. You can do that with the Switch too now, but leather.
That's a
Yeah, and they don't
big
have
mess.
NBA Street Volume 2, so sucks to suck.
agree. But no, it's like again, if you're looking now, if I'm an average person right now in 2025, if you chose, hey, these large corporations, sorry, I don't want to deal with you anymore, and I want to go full open source, you actually for the most part, you can.
Mhm.
Now, there are some trade-offs still, but if, for your web browsing, email, Office docs, things of that nature, like, you have great alternatives. Like, again,
Mhm.
we said there's multiple different, like, Linux distros. I personally use Ubuntu because of familiarity. I've been using it since 2009. I know you love Debian. I've tried multiple others. The only one I know it's still popular, but Pop! OS, I've only had problems with it, but I'd say give it a shot, see what you like. But like again, you have like
One of these days, I'll jump on the Gen 2 bandwagon.
yeah, but like you have like Firefox and Brave for all your web browsing. You have Thunderbird for your email. You have LibreOffice for all of your documents. You
Only
have
Office as well.
and on the Office, and you have like Nextcloud, which again you can have like chat functionality, file hosting, file sharing, all this great stuff. You have Signal for like texting.
Mhm.
It's great and it's secure.
And you have, if you set it up, there's
Just ask our
also
government. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Signalgate jokes won't ever get old.
Yep.
That was my favorite. It was like, hey, if anybody is a DNC operative, please stand up in like all of our group chats. That was really funny. What was I gonna say? XMPP. So that's
Yep.
been around for a long time. That's I think Jabber is what made it popular.
Yep.
It's that protocol, and then IRC has been around for a long time as well. Internet Relay Chat. So there's plenty of options there to choose from. That's one of the things that I would like to set up as far as self-hosting goes is an XMPP server. We have Nextcloud. My wife and I pay for like a third party to host it.
Mhm.
But that's also been great. Like I was able to move her off of Office 365 because I'm getting so sick of Microsoft. I wanted to move away from that. What is funny is that I like moved to that, and I've kind of gotten her to use LibreOffice and stuff like that because she's not a power user.
Yep.
She's just doing simple documents and stuff. She didn't care about the formatting, the fonts, anything like that. But what happens more often than not is I'll catch her using like Google Docs and stuff, which is it is what it is. But the Nextcloud experience these days is phenomenal. Being able to sync, being able to do documents and stuff in it, like it is very seamless, especially coming from Office 365 because you've got your PowerPoint, Word, Excel alternatives, and on top of that, if you have it all set up and the like in this case the third party host did a good job of setting it up for us. They have it I'm blanking on what it's called, but there's a specific plugin that has the collaborative version of LibreOffice.
Yeah.
So, like what we have, pulled up in front of us, we've got Word, and each of us can, edit the document live. All the changes are propagated between the different machines. You can get that same experience. So there's a lot to be said for the viability of replacing even things like that, like things that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and getting a very good experience out of it.
So I've heard y'all say a lot of good things about open source softwares and such. Are there any bad things? Is it all
Many.
good?
Oh, no,
Is
never.
it all
There absolutely
roses
not.
and
The-
is
the
it
bi-
all roses
The
and
big
sunshine?
the biggest one that we've kind of touched on a little bit is it's different.
Mhm.
There is a pretty significant learning curve to it. If you
In
have
most cases.
Yeah, if you have not grown up in a lot of these environments, if you're again hosting it yourself, you're not paying someone to kind of spin this up for you, and you just use the solution. If you're doing it yourself, there is some gotchas in there that you have to consider. Again,
Mhm.
like
And if you're like self-hosting it, not you're putting it on your own hardware as well. You're
Yeah.
not renting a VPS or like what Nathan did, getting a DigitalOcean droplet or something like that. There's a lot of hurdles involved, and Nathan can tell you even just the DigitalOcean VPS side of things. There's some hurdles there.
The biggest thing, the biggest problem with open source, and I think ironically, AI is going to be really helpful with this. At least it has been so far.
Mhm.
Is AI open source is largely used by very smart people that like to tinker. Now that is an oversimplification, but you're going to find far more tinkerers in open source than you are going to be either Google, Mac, or Windows. And because of that, they will dig in and learn the basics and then start learning all the extra things you can do, which is good. except for people like me who don't want to know all the minutia. I don't need to know all the minutia. That's half the reason I use a Mac is because I turn it on and it does what I need it to do, and I don't have to tinker with it. When I go to tinker with anything open source like my DigitalOceans, and I've actually had this issue with other platforms as well, I always get stuck by a couple of very probably simple things. But because they're things that everybody does, no one has properly documented it.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. Everybody likes to work on, and this is from a developer standpoint, right? Most people really enjoy the coding side of things. I don't think anybody, unless you are a technical writer, like by trade, and that's just what you live and breathe, I don't think anybody's going to sign up and enjoy the documenting side of things.
Another thing to note on this, if you are a highly visual person and how an application look and feels matters a lot to you, open source, many open source projects are going to be incredibly painful because there's a lot of really great open source software out there that's just flat out ugly.
Especially if you really like the current design languages for, Apple, Google, Microsoft, like Microsoft's Fluent 2, Apple's new Liquid Glass, if you, for whatever reason, you like that. Google's Material 3 Expressive, you will find some of these things, and the open source landscape has been getting better, right? The Linux landscape in particular has been getting better, but I would agree, like LibreOffice didn't have a, in quotation marks, modern look until within like the last 2 years.
Yeah, a lot of the open source projects they can look dated.
LibreOffice was very Office 2010.
Yeah. Because a lot of the times these projects, they were built utilitarian. They were not built for looks. They were built to do a core function and do it well. And for the most part, they succeeded. But as I've shared numerous times with people who have started looking into open source solutions, it's like, what is the best part of open source? The community. What is the worst part about open source?
The community.
The community.
And that would be my second like bad thing. Like the first thing, I would agree with Nathan that the documentation can be lackluster,
Yeah.
but AI is helping, like LLMs in particular, are helping fix that on both sides of the equation, on the writing and on the parsing. The second thing is the community can suck in a bajillion different ways, right? You can have the people that are belligerent and not very welcoming to new users. Okay, so the onboarding experience can be very rough. You have the people that will just take over a project and turn it into a hellhole. I could rant about that all day. That's nuts. You've got the Rust people. Don't even get me started on that. Like we've talked about this before, I think.
Yeah.
But if you think regular Linux users are bad, like the Rust people, something else, man.
Well, it's like the Rust and the Arch people. Like Arch people, they've gotten better.
So
but
Nix,
like back
Nix
in the
takes
day,
the cake for the Arch people, because like
that I agree.
Arch, like I use Arch, by the way. That used to be the thing, and then Nix came along and just dialed it up to like 12.
Yep.
Yeah,
because there was this huge thing of gatekeeping for the longest time. It was like, look, I went through this journey already. I figured it all out. I'm smarter than you. If you just can't, sudo apt-get your solution, then like just get out of here. I'm like, no, that's not how you actually build more users.
Can't imagine why the market share is so low.
Was so low that a lot of that mentality has changed and is continuing to change.
Part of it is like just the general populace is a little bit more educated these days.
Well, and again, the adoption rate was slowly going up, and as you get more fresh minds into it,
when you get more popular, so like things like part of the good, right, is a lot of the major YouTubers are there's a little bit more spotlight on it, right? So like PewDiePie, I think it's the biggest one that's been like, hey, I switched to Linux, and he's had I think 4 videos now that's just him diving in and doing like insanely cool things, not just hey, I installed Ubuntu and I'm clicking around like most. I tried Linux for 30 days, like Sam Time, right? I do love his videos, but his are very simple of just I installed Linux, I'm gonna do some basic, normie tasks and see how it does. PewDiePie's over here like I'm setting up a web server, I'm setting up, Plex or like Jellyfin and all this other, crazy stuff, setting up, automations and everything, and then you've got I am blanking on the guy that does animation. Dang it.
Oh shoot, I know you're talking. I
because he has that really cool animation style.
Yeah.
where he like highlights things.
Canyon?
And, do what?
No,
Not Meat Canyon, no.
No.
I was just
No.
saying that.
No, but like
The guy that's got a bone to pick with Adobe, I'm pretty sure somebody will. It's James Lee, I think.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, so he switched to Linux because he got so sick and tired of
Because
Windows and
the conversation
Adobe.
has been had for years because the amount of BS you just have to deal with on a Windows or Apple has their users. Apple
Mhm.
has their use case. I'm not gonna say just dump it because it's Apple. It has its place in the market. It doesn't have its place for me. And this is someone I'm very agnostic when it comes to the OSs that I choose to use. Like again, I have an Apple PC, I have an iPad, I have multiple Linux
You
machines.
have
I
an
have
Apple PC.
I think he meant Apple desktop.
I think that's what he meant too.
personal computer.
I have like the same thing. I've got an iMac. I have a hand-me-down iPad now. I've got I used to have an iPod Touch. Like that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, an iPod video.
What changed was that I had to start buying my own devices, and the hand-me-down trickle stopped. And that's when I moved to Android.
Yeah,
'Cause
well, I was like,
I'm not going to shell out the Apple tax.
well, and mine was so my biggest things is familiarity. Like I grew
Mhm.
up on Windows. Like Windows 95 was my first OS. I actually remember using it. That's literally I was born in 95. And I used 98. We don't talk about ME. Anyway, but like I grew up on Windows, but we also had Macs. We got them and like I got familiar with them and they're fine. They're great. They again, as my perspective is they have their use case. But it was for me, I liked the Windows environment. I liked how it operated. It was awesome. I didn't really even know Linux existed until it was 2007 when I was first introduced. And then like 2009, I actually installed I don't even remember what version of Ubuntu that was, but on a old Dell laptop that I had. And then I got assigned early in my career repurposing some old laptops that we were just, hey, just install Linux, see how it works. And it was an interesting experience. It was fun. And that's what that mind shift kind of started happening there of like, look, there are alternatives. You don't
Yeah.
just have to go to the big box store and you have two options.
You don't have to be a masochist using Windows all the time because even some of the big players like Dell's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Where some of their offerings they will sell it with Ubuntu on it. You've got like the framework laptop. You can choose to get a Windows license, or you can choose to either bring your own OS or have like Fedora and Pop OS and some of the others pre-installed. You've got big Linux desktop makers like System 76, and then like Element computers or something like that. Or and there's like Penguin computers too. So like the options are there even if you don't want to install it yourself, right? So the first hurdle of A, having hardware that's compatible, and B, having hardware that's supported, like with Dell, right? That alone, I think, removes a lot of the barrier to entry. Because if I can buy a device, maybe not in Best Buy, but I can order a device that is pre-installed, ready to go, and then I can like that whole mess is taken care of. I can just start using it. That's another thing that I think is overlooked.
Yeah, especially that a lot of you can get multiple distros now that most of the core function that you touch in Windows, those same features are in very similar spots.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they're named very similar as well. So like if you've only used Windows your entire life, there are some very easy steps you can take to tiptoe your way onto the open source side. Because you don't have to just go, all right, tomorrow I'm making this fundamental change. I'm doing it right now. I would honestly encourage you not to do that because you're just going to get frustrated. Even though, again, you can learn the most through failure. I get that completely. Don't completely turn your back on what you know now. Try to adopt what you know into a new platform.
A good option is if it's something that you want to dip your toe in and you're willing to spend a couple $100, it doesn't take much. My recommendation is go on Amazon, get a refurbished business laptop, Dell, HP, Lenovo, take your pick. There's tons out there for a few $100. Typically, it has a Windows license. Buy it, and then
Nuke the Windows license the
Nuke-
first chance you get.
nuke the Windows license,
Like save the license if you can, but then nuke the installation.
And I mean, if you want to get like a little hardware nerdy, I would actually get a separate SSD and then just pull whatever's in there, put it to the side, and um throw another one in there. Load a distro that looks cool to you. Debian, Ubuntu, take your pick. There's plenty.
And for more detailed information on all of this, you can listen to our previous episode of Advice to Homes or Advice to High Schoolers on how to get into IT.
And you can
Just throwing that plug out there.
Start playing around with it, because there are two things Linux has done very, very well. One is once you figure out how to get the OS onto the machine, then the user setup is super simple, so easy. It makes Apple look a little busy, and it makes Windows look atrociously bad.
It depends on the because like the Ubuntu setup is very easy and it's part of the installation process. Same for Debian. I haven't played around with
Pop OS is the same thing.
Pop OS is the same.
Is it all done through the installation? Because Pop OS is a Debian derivative or is it an Ubuntu derivative?
Ubuntu.
Okay, well it's another layer of abstraction. I think it's kind of nonsense, but
but it also looks a lot better than Debian, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Debian works.
Because Debian was built to be utilitarian and it does it very well.
Yeah,
but
Debian doesn't nuke my computer because I tried to install Steam. So.
But you can.
I've never had that with Ubuntu. I had that with Pop OS.
That's the Pop OS joke.
Yeah,
they fixed that a long time ago.
Yeah, no, it was like, I can rant about Pop OS and the frustrations.
Yeah, I do like the look and feel of the Cosmic Desktop because that's what Pop OS brings to the table. But like I am very utilitarian. I don't really care too much about the looks. I just need my software to work.
See, if you do care about the looks at all, look at at least go to Ubuntu. But so you have hold on. The user setup is very easy. But then also before Apple and Google had their app stores, Linux had its. So you can pop open any of the ones all of them, at least all the ones I've ever used. So all the popular ones, they have app stores, and so you can get.
It's very easy to interact with the packages
and so the thing is, you don't have. It's one of those things. It's a double-edged sword. If you can get it through their app store, you're good. If you have to download it some other way, God help you.
Sudo apt-get the world.
Yeah, we'll see. Like these days, so just back up a little bit with Debian. I wouldn't say Debian is uglier. It depends on the.
It's uglier.
It depends on the desktop environment that you're choosing.
It's uglier.
So Ubuntu out of the box, if I remember right, it's GNOME.
Correct.
It's like a slightly modified version of GNOME 3. You can do that out of the box with Debian, and then Fedora does the same thing. So like out of the box, Fedora with GNOME and Debian with GNOME, you're not going to notice the difference. Now, before Debian 13, which had KDE version 6, it would be a little bit more noticeable, right? KDE like 5 point whatever versus KDE 6, they did a lot of refreshing there. And it does look a little nicer. But for the most part, it's not Debian itself that's ugly. It's whatever desktop environment that you have. And granted, I won't, like Steven's here looking at mine. XFCE is not the prettiest thing, but it works and it gets out of my way. And it's
I
fine.
can understand that. Like, I can absolutely understand the utility nature of if you, again, say the purpose of your laptop, if you have your dual booting and you have a specific purpose for the Windows side of it, you need it for something, so that's why it's on there, and you switch to it. And the other general purpose for that laptop is just surfing the web. Like that, literally, you just get on there to get on a browser and maybe install, like have a VPN running for somebody. You'll have one other little task, but the core 80% of its purpose is online based activities. That's fine.
The
Like
desktop
literally what I
environment
just
doesn't
saw
matter.
is you have a taskbar, you have a thing that you open the app with, you open your browser with, and then that's all that matters for it to do. Is the browser, and the browser looks the way it does.
Yeah, what I'm doing, I'm not using a lot of, in quotation marks, native applications, so I'm not looking for an Apple experience where everything has the same look and feel, or Windows where everything has 10 different looks and feels because Microsoft can't unify on one single line before moving on to the next one. Because like in my case, like what Steven said, I've got a browser open or I have a text editor open. So 9 times out of 10, it's either dictated by whatever things look like is either dictated by the browser or by the font that I've chosen.
hmm
Like the rest of it doesn't really matter.
And that's all outside of the OS. That the OS
Yeah.
doesn't matter in that case at all.
Yeah.
And so for it to be super bland and simple and utilitarian, okay, as long as when you open it up, you know where to go to access the things that you're actually going to use. What does it matter?
Yeah, I do use a graphical user interface, so this isn't like your terminal. Although I wouldn't mind living in
Not
the
like Ubuntu server.
I tried it for daily desktop. It's not.
I can
It's
do.
not. Can I do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can do most of my stuff in the terminal, mostly thanks to like Emacs, Neovim, and some other tools. But the problem is that the web does not compress the text very well.
It really doesn't, and like especially when I'm doing research, no. So that's where it's like, okay, so I'm going to kind of go into more of the bottom line. Is like, look, at least from our perspective here, open source has never been better. Like it's in a very great, healthy spot right now. Obviously, big businesses adopting it at a very fast rate. Personally, like I'm seeing a lot more people starting to consider it and or actually adopt it now. So it's like if you're interested in it, now has never been a better time to start looking at it. And like, look, I didn't even mention one of my favorite things. Like, look, so you have alternatives. So for your desktop or laptop, yeah, you have a Linux distro. For your server hosting, you have multiple Linux hypervisors that you can use. For your networking, you have options. I mean, even down to just like the simple thing of like, look, I want to sit down and have a Netflix experience. Awesome. There are open source solutions for you. My recommendation is go with Jellyfin because it's honestly like really, really simple, not very complex, and you can get up and running in an afternoon with watching a couple YouTube videos and RTFM. It just works. And in my experience, like, look, that's what most people want is just an experience where they sit down, they did the little thing, and now they don't have to think about it. It's now just a part of their life. And yeah, you can have that experience now.
Yeah. Assuming you don't have NVIDIA hardware. That's neither here nor there. Just to like get at least close to wrapping up. I know we've been going for a while. So yeah, the bad, the good. There's a lot of good. We've talked a lot about the bad. Open source funding really sucks, and I'll let we can put like a couple links in the show notes. There's people that can talk about that way better than I can, but the hard part of things being free is that you still need to fund them somehow, like this isn't communism. Things still need to be funded.
Tip your developer.
Yeah, tip your developer. I mentioned it earlier, but the politics infiltrating a lot of mainline source projects is stupid, beyond stupid. I could rant about that a lot too. And then the ugly, I've got a few points here. Microsoft does seem to be heading back down towards the extinguish side. So they've been embracing and extending for the last, however long it's been since their current CEO, blanking on his name, guy that took over after Steve Ballmer. Help me out here, guys.
I don't remember.
Whoever the current CEO of Microsoft is, I don't know why I'm blanking. I can picture his face.
Dude.
Well, because I'm picturing the Google guy.
The current CEO?
The current CEO.
It's
Let's just say this current CEO.
Satya Nadella.
Yeah, Nadella. So he's done a lot for the open source side of Microsoft, but like one of their biggest moves right now, they bought GitHub a while back.
Yep.
GitHub is the hub for open source, which is great. The problem is that the CEO just stepped down, and it's being folded under a Microsoft VP. So there's a lot less.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's a lot less.
That sounds
distinction between the two. Like GitHub has been a Microsoft product for a long time, and like GitHub Copilot is one of Microsoft's biggest products right now.
Not
next
to be
to like
confused with Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah.
Which is not to be confused with ChatGPT.
So that's been an interesting move, and that's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on, because GitHub is the hub of open source. So we'll see how that plays out. Android locking down a lot more, like their efforts to ban side loading and stuff. That's also going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Google facing zero repercussions after the monopoly trial. That could be a whole episode. But they get to keep Chrome. They get to keep Android. They barely even got a slap on the wrist. Like it's
They're getting to keep YouTube, right?
yeah,
Yes.
like literally nothing changes. I think they're getting fined, and that's about it.
Oh no.
And then yeah, I don't know, remember why I put this in ugly, but this is kind of a good thing in my opinion. But AI is almost past the hype cycle. I am ready for this. Like let's let the AI bubble pop. Let's get back down to reality. It has. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It has good use cases, and there's a lot of cool open source projects for it. It is way overhyped, way overblown. If you're still holding out for AGI, I don't know what to tell you. You need to like stop taking whatever AI
Get
heroin you're
used to the
taking
fancy
and
search
just
engines.
just get used to the fancy search engine and be okay with that. Embrace what it is. Don't hold out for what you want it.
If you don't like it, go back to a terminal-based OS and then
Yeah.
just search the web from terminal.
Yeah, exactly. Or go back to Ask Jeeves.
Still exists.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Yeah. So all I'd say, there's a lot of good. There's some bad. There's also some ugly. But I think right now the future does look bright. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Steven, Nathan, anything for y'all?
No, yeah, that's
I think you've covered a lot.
that sums it up, I think.
All right, so Steven, say the line.
Say the line, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Hostility in the Morning. If you stayed this long and you like what you heard, leave a comment and let us know. You can sudo apt get us on X, Facebook, Instagram, or info@hostilityinthemorning.com. We upload every other Tuesday real early on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. If you want a one-stop shop for everything hostile, you can find everything at our open source hosted website, hostilityinthemorning.com. And remember, have a hostile morning.